Some pretty shocking developing news unfolding overnight as we are hearing just 6 hours after Donald Trump has said there was going to be an effort to negotiate peace between Russia and Ukraine. We are hearing that there was an attack on the nuclear facility of Chernobyl, and Ukraine is saying that the attacks unfolded from Russia. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me share with you the latest video footage and articles so that way you can see it for yourself. Take a look. U.S.-Russia talks are now obsolete after Chernobyl drone strike, says Callis, and we are hearing that they are saying that things are falling apart. And let me know, can Putin be trusted? Is there going to be an end to the war, or are these lies? And there are actually plans to further escalate the tensions. Take a look. Ukraine blames Russia for drone attack on Chernobyl's protective shell. Zelenskyy says the damage is significant. Like I said, I'm going to share with you the video footage so you can see it for yourself and take a look. Ukraine-Russia war, the latest. Zelenskyy warns Putin will attack NATO next year as Chernobyl hit by drones. Nuclear scare as Ukrainian president raises the alarm over Russian aggression amid the start of the U.S.-led peace talks. And he is warning that Russia has no intention of ending these wars. He is simply doing this to appease the United States, but in reality, they are behind the scenes planning to escalate tensions with war. And we're hearing this is the nuclear facility at Chernobyl. They are watching the nuclear levels to make sure that there are no issues here, but this is a major concern unfolding overnight. I see Heaven and Gracie saying that is crazy. Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to share with you the latest video footage and articles of what is unfolding here overnight, and let me know your thoughts. Are we going to be seeing peace between Russia and Ukraine? If you believe so, put a 1. If you think no, and there's going to be escalations and that this is not going to be an end to the war, put a 2. Let me know your thoughts. But like I said, we're hearing the nuclear facility of Chernobyl being hit overnight, and Ukraine is blaming Russia. And this happening just 6 hours after we had heard Trump say that the negotiations were taking place and there was going to be peace between Russia and Ukraine. If this is in fact Russia, Putin hitting Ukraine, it looks like he is outright lying. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Will there be peace? Put a 1. If there won't be, put a 2. And I'm seeing 1s and 2s starting to roll into the comments. Now, while you're dropping those 1s and 2s, do me a quick favor. Don't forget to take a second, hit that like button. Help spread this out further so more people can get the latest news and information. Hit subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? I'll keep you up to speed on everything. In addition to that, I cite all the sources. They're hyperlinked in the description so you can see all the articles that I'm referencing coming out today, February the 14th, 2025, this morning, Valentine's Day. Also, I'm going to put the articles and the videos on the screen, read right from it, and show the dates and the sources so you know that this is the latest. And again, if you appreciate that, hit that like button. Just want to hold myself to the highest level of accountability for the community so you know exactly what is going on. And whatever unfolds, I'll be sure to keep you guys up to date here on the channel. And in addition to that, if you are concerned about potential nuclear attacks, exposure to radiation, we have various links down in the description, Amazon links to provide you for resources to get stocked up on. We have those potassium iodide tablets just in case something were to hit. If there was some sort of nuclear facility that was to give off radiation, you would have the ability to have those pills to protect that thyroid. And there's some for all ages for any members of your family as well. So those are available in the description down below. E-Rock, thank you for the $5 super chat. False flag. Zelenskyy is scared that this war will stop and that he will say he will not be among us. You know, it could be. We will see. Now, at this time, they are blaming Russia. I'm hearing that Russia is coming out and saying they didn't do it. So let me know in the comments. If you think this is a false flag, put a FF. If you think no, that this is Russia not holding their word and they are preparing to go further with their attacks as the warnings are coming out from Zelenskyy that they are going to be hitting NATO, let me know your thoughts in the comments. But let's go ahead and dive right in so you can see the latest. Let's start off with some video footage so that way you can see it for yourself. Let's go ahead and take a look at this coming out this morning.
New overnight, a Russian drone has hit the damaged Chernobyl nuclear power plant, this according to the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelenskyy. The video shows the very moment, look at that flash, the drone hit. Radiation background limits have remained normal. The Ukrainian military claims Russia fired 133 drones at Ukraine overnight. This comes as President Trump says the Russian President Vladimir Putin is ready for peace talks. Zelenskyy tweeted overnight that these attacks show, quote, Putin is definitely not preparing for negotiations. He's preparing to continue deceiving the world. mixed messages from the White House over how to end Russia's war in Ukraine. In fact, what the U.S. position is, Vice President J.D. Vance told the Wall Street Journal the U.S. could hit Russia with sanctions, even send U.S. forces to Ukraine if Putin fails to negotiate in good faith. Quote, there are economic tools of leverage. There are, of course, military tools of leverage. Today, the vice president is meeting with the Ukrainian president on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference. This comes as President Trump is refusing to even acknowledge that Russia invaded Ukraine and is to blame for this war. Instead, he has placed the blame squarely on former President Biden and Ukraine's ambitions to join NATO.
Now, Russia has taken over a pretty big chunk of territory, and they also have said from day one, long before President Putin, they've said they cannot have Ukraine be in NATO. They said that very strongly. I actually think that that was the thing that caused the start of the war, and Biden said it, and Zelenskyy said it, and I think that was one of the reasons, one of the starts of the war.
Joining us now, Democratic Congressman Jason Crow, who is live from the Munich Security Conference. Congressman, thanks so much for taking the time this morning.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
What's your reaction when you see President Trump echo what are Kremlin talking points, Kremlin's false justification for invading Ukraine? Is that something an American president should be doing? And does that, in your view, show weakness?
Well, clearly it's not something that an American president should be doing, and it's not something that anybody who actually understands the threats that America and our allies face and the type of person that Vladimir Putin is. Right? If President Trump thinks that he can tough talk his way or chest pound his way to some type of deal, he is clearly mistaken. If we have learned anything about Vladimir Putin over the last couple of decades, is that he understands only strength. And one of our greatest strengths right now is our alliances and our partnership network. So the maligning of our partners, the bullying of our partners that we see in Europe and other places actually undermines our position and makes us less safe and less weak and makes us go into a bargaining position in a worse position than we would otherwise be.
Do you understand what the Trump administration's position actually is on negotiations? Because you get quite conflicting messages. You see there J.D. Vance saying that perhaps military pressure could be involved. Pete Hegseth said there would be no U.S. forces here. And of course, you have quite a difference between what Trump says about the causes of the war and what others in the administration do. But what is the U.S. position heading into these negotiations? Is it clear at all?
No, it's not clear, and that's part of the problem. And when you have partners and allies, I'm here at the Munich Security Conference with a bipartisan delegation of members of Congress, and we're meeting with other parliamentarians, with other military leaders, and they don't know. And we actually don't have the ability to tell them because we're getting mixed messages. I mean, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, will say one thing that will run contrary to what Donald Trump wants him to say. Then he'll put out a tweet saying something else. Then J.D. Vance will say something else. It does not portray a unified front, and what's worse is our allies who work with us, who serve with us, who fight with us when necessary, they also don't know. So this shows, again, a signal of weakness, of inconsistency, and it's exactly the type of thing that Vladimir Putin always takes advantage of. So we have to get our act together. Donald Trump has to work with us to portray a unified front, to establish a policy, and that has to start with showing that we support Ukraine because that's in our economic and national security interest.
Ukraine, of course, for a time was a unifying bipartisan issue. It's not from President Trump's perspective. He has quite different public positions than many of your Republican colleagues in Congress have. Given you're traveling there in a bipartisan delegation, do your Republican colleagues quietly express to you concern that Trump's going to abandon Ukraine?
They do. They express concern about the inconsistencies. They express concern about the mixed messages coming out of this administration. There are certainly some folks within the administration that believe that we have to stand by Ukraine, although they are the minority voice. There's no doubt about that. But what we really need is public expressions of that. You know, people telling me privately behind closed doors what they believe and what's in the best interest of our national security isn't going to get the job done anymore, right? They need to stand up and they need to add their voice to the chorus of voices of national security professionals, combat veterans, and others who I'm traveling with and who I serve with in Congress who say, you know, enough is enough. We need to double down on our alliances, our partnerships. We need to make sure that our economic ties and our trading partners are strong. And we need to make sure that Ukraine is in a position to win, because if they're in a position to win, then they're in a position to negotiate a settlement to this. I do believe that this will ultimately end at a negotiating table, but only when Ukraine is in a position to do that and forces Vladimir Putin to do so.
But before we go, can Ukraine, in your view, say no to President Trump if President Trump tries to force their hand into a deal that they do not believe is in their interests? Can they say no, and would they get backing from America's European allies to do so if NATO allies believe an agreement is not in Ukraine's interest or in Europe's interests?
Well, Ukraine is, I've always said Ukraine is a sovereign and independent nation. That's the one thing that democracies do when they're dealing with other democracies, is we don't tell them what they can and can't do with their own borders in their own country. That's what we're fighting against with Vladimir Putin, with Iran, with our adversaries, people who are trying to force others to draw their boundaries and to do something with their sovereign independent states. We, as a partner and ally, you know, have preferences. We will guide them a certain direction. Ukraine has to make a decision on its own about what's going to work for them and their people, and then we will support that decision if it's in our best interest.
There you have it, you guys. So that coming out just a little while ago this morning, as we were hearing that Ukraine says that Russia's drone attack hit Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the articles, and I've got some more video footage coming out so that way I can share with you what actually unfolded overnight. But take a look at this and let me know your thoughts here. U.S.-Russia talks are obsolete after the Chernobyl drone strike, says Callis. Do you believe that things are going to fall apart here? Put a 1 if you think that we are going to be having peace. Put a 2 if you think, no, we are about to see things escalate. I also have a poll going on right now in the comments. I think it's interesting. It's been up. I got about 402 people that have voted. 57% of the room says Putin can be trusted. This is a false flag that is taking place from Ukraine. 43% of the room says, no, Putin can't be trusted. This is Putin lying. Let me know your thoughts in that poll and in the comments. Do you think that this is Russia attacking, lying to us, and that the talks are going to be obsolete, as this article says? Or do you think that this is maybe a false flag, that Russia didn't do this, this is somebody else, and that this is potentially maybe Ukraine or one of the allies trying to keep the war going on? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But we are seeing that overnight, some major developments unfolding as the Chernobyl nuclear facility has been attacked. And we are hearing that things are changing overnight. Now, you can see this article coming out just 3 hours ago, and this is linked in the description below. Let's take a look at this. It says the European Union's top diplomat said that any talks between the United States and Russia were now obsolete following a drone strike at Ukraine's Chernobyl nuclear power plant at Kiev, and Kiev has blamed Moscow. It clearly shows that the Russians don't want peace, the European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas told journalists on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference. All these other talks have been totally obsolete because of the bombing of the nuclear station, bombing of civilians, bombing of civilian infrastructures. Andre Lucas, thank you for the $5 super chat. Desperate Ukraine. If you believe that Russia attacked Chernobyl plant, well, I got more than a Brooklyn Bridge to sell you. Ukraine wants war. Thank you for that, Andre Lucas, that $5 super chat. And again, let me know your thoughts. I'm seeing people dropping different thoughts in the comments. Some people saying they think that this was Russia. Just 6 hours after Donald Trump said that there would be peace, they believe that Russia attacked Ukraine. Others saying no, they don't think it was Russia, but it's trying to be blamed on Russia as a false flag. Let me know your thoughts. And 1's pouring in if you think that there is going to be some sort of peace. 2, if you think no. Regardless of who it is, there is not going to be peace here. Reading on, it says, it clearly shows that Russians don't want peace, she said. All of the other talks that have become totally obsolete because of the bombing of the nuclear stations, the bombing of civilians, the bombings of civilian infrastructures. Swivelhead Medic, thank you for the $5 super chat, says, prevailing winds would put radiation in Russia. These are false flags. Reading on, it says, what is up to us right now is to decide and discuss how we support Ukraine right now in this endeavor, because our values haven't changed. The goals of Russia haven't changed either. So we need to stick to our ground and really see what is at stake here, she said. Danny, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Steve, what's your take on this? Do you think this is true or fabricated by Ukraine to stay in check? I really don't know, Danny. I'm actually just getting this news this morning. I'm going to do some more research on it. If I get any more insight, I'll let you guys know. Right now, I don't have enough information to formulate an opinion. It totally could be a false flag, or it totally could be Russia turning on us. I'm going to do more research and see what I can find. As more comes out, I'll be sure to let you guys know. Reading on, it says, earlier this week at the NATO defense ministers meeting in Brussels, Callas had accused U.S. President Donald Trump of appeasement following his conversation with Russia's Vladimir Putin, and stressed that any peace deal must be negotiated with European and Ukrainian involvement. Trump's Vice President J.D. Vance and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy are expected to meet Friday today, and we're hearing that has unfolded this morning during the three-day conference in southern Germany. Zelenskyy told journalists on Friday that he did not believe Washington had a ready-made plan to end the war. Kallas, the former prime minister of Estonia, has long been a vocal supporter of Ukraine. During her primership, Estonia donated more aid per capita to Ukraine than any other country, at 3.55% of their GDP. She had said that Trump was right to criticize Europe for only spending an average of 1.9% of GDP on defense, saying it was clearly not enough in comparison to Russia's 9%. Kallas told the Moscow Times on Friday that Washington and Europe needed to provide similar messages about supporting Ukraine and ending the war. I hope to keep united with our American allies, because it's Iran, Russia, and also North Korea, but more covertly China, teaming up against us. So we need to stick to our ground, she said. Wow, and there you have it. So again, like I said, there's vocalization of this escalating into a greater conflict. And there you see Iran, Russia, North Korea, China. This is insinuating World War III, a unification of various nations coming together. And they're saying to attack our NATO allies. So this is without a doubt them saying that they're feeling like this could be leading to a global conflict, World War III, as it says U.S.-Russia talks become obsolete after Chernobyl drone strike. This coming from Estonia's Kallas. She is saying that she thinks all bets are off. They are saying that they believe that this is Russia, and this is Russia preparing to attack the Western alliance of NATO, the United States, Ukraine, non-NATO alliance nations like Ukraine. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, again, the room is kind of split on this, and I'm going to look and do some more research on this, but about 60% of the people in the room right now had voted that they believe that this is a false flag, that this was not Russia, that this is maybe an effort of, who knows, maybe Ukraine or some other nation to keep things going because they're concerned about Russia and peace talks. Now, 40% of the room is saying they believe that this was Russia, that Russia has lied to Trump and the United States, saying they want peace, but they actually want to continue things on, and they are hitting Chernobyl, a nuclear facility. So this causing a major concern right now. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some more video footage so that way you can see it for yourself. And I see somebody in the comments saying to hit the like button. Yes, I appreciate that a ton. If you haven't done so yet and you appreciate the updates, please take a second, hit that like button, help spread this out further. E-Rock, thank you for the $5 super chat. These news anchors and deep staters that say it's Russia are the same people who are stealing money from us. Wake up. Thank you for that $5 super chat. And I'm seeing a lot of people saying that they believe that exact same thing as you, E-Rock. So we will see. But let's take a look at this video footage so that way you can see it for yourself. Again, this coming out just in the past couple of hours as we're hearing that Chernobyl was hit overnight, that nuclear facility, and a lot of concerns. They're watching the radiation levels. At this time, they're saying it appears that there is no leaking radioactive exposure, but I will keep you up to date. Let's go ahead and take a look at this.
A good look at your screen. Fox News reporting that Ukraine blames Russia for the drone attack on Chernobyl's protective shell. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says damage is, quote, significant. An alleged drone hitting the protective shell covering the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine early this Friday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy pointing the finger at Russia. The International Atomic Energy Agency, also known as the IAEA, reporting on X that overnight Thursday, the IAEA team at the Chernobyl site heard an explosion coming from the new safe confinement. And you're seeing on your screen a video of that explosion. The site protects the remains of the nuclear reactor that exploded in Chernobyl back in 1986 and was reportedly set ablaze after an unmanned aerial vehicle hit the NSC roof. Zelenskyy saying initial assessments show, quote, the damage to the shelter is significant. Zelenskyy also taking to X, stating that the incident occurred when allegedly, quote, a Russian attack drone with a high explosive warhead hit the shelter. Again, that's a quote from the Ukrainian president. Surveillance footage, which is what you're taking a look at on this Friday, is from the Post, and it shows the movement the drone impacts on the dome, which then caused the explosion. While the incident is currently still under investigation this morning, the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, claims the alleged attack was the result of a terrorist threat. A quote released to Fox News, it says, this shelter was built by Ukraine together with other countries of Europe and the world, together with America, all these committed to real security for humanity. The only country in the world that attacks such sites, occupies nuclear power plants, and wages war without any regard for the consequences is today's Russia. He goes on to say this is a terrorist threat to the entire world. The shelter at the Chernobyl NPP was damaged by this drone, end quote. Russia at this hour has yet to deny any involvement. The IAEA saying its fire safety personnel were able to respond in minutes, and there was no indication of a breach in NSC's inner containment. The agency also reporting that there were currently no casualties, but they are monitoring the situation, and radiation levels inside and outside remain normal and stable. So this is a developing story. Ukraine on this Friday blaming Russia for a drone attack on Chernobyl's protective shell. As we get more information as it relates to the story, you'll get it right here on Live Now from Fox.
There you have it, you guys. So again, that just unfolding overnight. You can see that, and Ukraine blaming Russia for this. Now, she said in this video that was uploaded, looks like this came out about 3 hours ago, that right now Russia is not denying that they did it. Let me just go ahead and check, because I'm pretty sure I saw that they did come out and say that they denied that this was them. So let me go ahead and take a look at this. Now, the question is, do you believe that Russia would tell the truth if it was them or not? Let me see here really quick. I'm just going to see if there's anything on whether or not it has been, if they say it was them or not. Russia drone strikes Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Ukraine says Russian drone attack hit Chernobyl nuclear plant. Radiation levels tested as normal. A drone damaged the outer shell of Ukrainian Chernobyl. Russian drone hits Chernobyl nuclear radiation shield. So right now there are reports coming out that it was Russia. Let me see. I just want to check if Russia denied that it was them. Because in the video footage we just watched, they said Russia. All right, here we go. Okay, so this is live. I'm going to share this with you guys. This isn't cited in the articles down below, but I will cite it after. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. I just found this. Take a look. Russia denies that its drone targeted Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine. So for those of you saying that this is a false flag, Russia has not admitted that this was them at this time. So we will see. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. So like I said, I'm going to research this and see what news comes out. I will share it with you. Let's take a look at this. I will link this in the description after the live stream, so it's included for you guys. So let's see what this says. It says the Kremlin on Friday denied the accusations from Ukraine that Russian drones had struck the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, Why it matters, because Ukraine and the International Atomic Energy Agency said radiation levels remain stable despite the explosion at the plant. Now, the IAEA said Friday that an explosion was heard at the plant overnight at the containment structure over the plant's reactor 4, the site of the 1986 disaster causing a fire. Now, while the IAEA didn't attribute blame for the strike, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said that the strike was caused by a Russian drone that caused significant damage. The only country in the world that attacks such sites, occupies nuclear power plants, and wages war without any regard for the consequences is today's Russia. This is a terrorist threat to the entire world, Zelenskyy wrote. Both Zelenskyy and the IAEA said radiation levels in the area remain normal. Now, the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has denied the accusations that it was behind the attack, telling reporters Friday that it was fabrication. Russian state news agency TASS reported. So let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think this was Russia? If you think this was Russia, put yes. If you think that this was not Russia, put no. Let me know your thoughts, because Ukraine is blaming Russia. Russia is saying it wasn't us. But the question is, can we trust Russia? Is Russia lying? Or are these false accusations against Russia in a false flag effort to continue funding for Ukraine? Let me know your thoughts. Did Russia do this? If you believe it was Russia, put yes. And you believe that Russia is lying to us. And this literally 6 hours after Donald Trump, we had heard, had come out and said there was going to be a peace agreement. If you think that this was not Russia, put no. And I'm seeing a lot of no's pouring in, a lot of people saying they don't think that this was Russia, especially this close to some sort of peace deals, peace talk, peace agreement. Let me know your thoughts. Now, I see Hobby saying, yes, it was Russia. I'm seeing a lot of people putting no and false flags. I'm seeing Donna saying unsure, and that's an okay answer as well. As information comes out, I'll continue to share it. Let's go ahead and read on. It says the Russian military does not do this, he added. The big picture. Throughout the war, which is set to enter its 4th year later this month, Ukraine has accused Russia of risking a nuclear incident. Russian forces briefly occupied the Chernobyl plant at the start of the war, and fighting around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power station triggered warnings of possible nuclear disaster. So, wow, there you have it, you guys. Russia is saying it wasn't them. But again, the question is, do you believe Russia? Can Russia be trusted? As also we had heard when this whole war first started, they were starting to align along the borders, and they were saying that these are just tests, these are drills, nothing to be concerned about. Lied, and then started their initiative, their attack against Ukraine. So the question is, can they be trusted? Was it them? Was it not them? Who can even be trusted at this point with all the stuff that is going on? And I see Terry saying, Steve, I'm not sure. And yeah, I completely understand. This is overnight developments that are happening right now with Chernobyl. Now, let's get a little bit more information here. You can see this coming out early this morning. Ukraine blames Russia for the drone attack on Chernobyl's protective shell. Zelenskyy says the damage was significant. An alleged drone struck the protective shell covering the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine earlier on Friday, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is pointing the finger at Russia. The International Atomic Energy Agency reported on X that overnight Thursday, an IAEA team at the Chernobyl site heard an explosion coming from the new safe confinement. The site protects the remains of the nuclear reactor that exploded in Chernobyl's 1986 and was reportedly set ablaze after an unmanned aerial vehicle, or a UAV, struck the NSC roof. Zelenskyy said initial assessments show the damage to the shelter is significant. Zelenskyy took to X, stating that the incident occurred when allegedly a Russian attack drone with a high explosive warhead struck the shelter. Now, surveillance footage from the post show the moment that the drone impacted the drone, causing the explosion. The shelter at the Chernobyl NPP was damaged by this drone. The fire has been extinguished as of now. Radiation levels have not increased and are being constantly monitored, Zelenskyy added. According to initial assessments, the damage to the shelter is significant. Now, while the incident is currently still under investigation, Zelenskyy claimed the alleged attack was the result of a terrorist threat. This shelter was built by Ukraine together with other countries of Europe and the world together with America. All those committed to the real security of humanity, Zelenskyy said in the Post. The only country in the world that attacks such sites, occupies nuclear power plants, and wages war without any regard for the consequences is today's Russia. This is a terrorist threat to the entire world. The shelter at the Chernobyl NPP was damaged by this drone. Now, the IAEA said that its fire safety personnel were able to respond in minutes and there was no indication of a breach of the NSC's inner containment. The agency also reported that there were currently no casualties, but are monitoring the situation, and radiation levels inside and outside remain normal and stable. The explosions come as the world leaders are meeting in Munich, Germany on Friday for the Munich Security Conference, where the future of Ukraine and its ongoing war with Russia will be the top item on the agenda. So there you have it, you guys. Again, accusations going back and forth. And take a look at this. Ukraine-Russia war, the latest. Zelenskyy warns Putin will attack NATO next year as Chernobyl hit by a drone. Nuclear scare as Ukrainian president raises alarm over Russian aggression amid start of the U.S.-led peace talks. So let me know your thoughts here. Again, these are warnings coming out, you guys, of global conflict. We've seen this now in 2 articles. They're saying that this is going to escalate. Zelenskyy is warning, do not trust Putin, that he is still planning to go on to war. Do you think that we're going to be entering into World War III in the coming years? If you think so, put a 3. If you think no, put a 4. But what we're hearing is we saw the European Union come together, the leader of Estonia saying that all the peace talks between the U.S. and Russia are obsolete, that we cannot trust them after what has unfolded. So right now, members of Europe and NATO saying we are going the direction of war, that the peace talks with Donald Trump, the Trump effect, they're saying it is obsolete, that we cannot trust Putin at this time. Now, let me know your thoughts. Now, in addition to that, we're going to be taking a look at this article as Zelenskyy is warning NATO and the United States not to trust Putin, that we are going to enter into war, that Putin is behind the scenes, he is lying to Trump, and that he is preparing to attack and to further escalate conflicts. Let me know your thoughts. Put a 3 if we are going to go to World War III. Put a 4 if you believe we are not going to go to World War III in the coming years. But let's take a look at this article. This is going to be linked in the description below so you can see it for yourself. The Ukrainian president has warned that Russia could be preparing for war on NATO countries as he laid out the importance of the U.S. backing for Kiev during peace talks. Volodymyr Zelenskyy is meeting U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance as world officials gather for security talks in Munich today after President Donald Trump announced the start of talks to end the war in Ukraine. And again, this is all developing news just overnight. So we had heard literally 6 hours after Trump had said the peace talks are to begin, the end of the war is coming. Then 6 hours later, we saw this drone strike Chernobyl. They said that it had a warhead on it, and there was not a major concern of damage that was done, no radioactive spill. Zelenskyy saying there was major damage going on, and Zelenskyy blaming Russia, Russia saying it wasn't us. And now we are hearing the warnings coming out. Estonia saying, do not trust Russia. They are lying to you, Trump, United States. Others saying, no, this was actually Ukraine trying to do a false flag. So a lot of information coming out, not really sure who to trust here. Reading on, it says, Mr. Zelenskyy said, I think that he, Vladimir Putin, is preparing the war against NATO countries next year. I think so, but I don't know. I don't have 100%. God bless. We will stop this crazy guy. It comes just hours after the Ukrainian president has accused Russia of a drone attack on Chernobyl's nuclear power plant in Ukraine that damaged a radiation shelter last night. He said the high explosive drone struck the protective shell of reactor 4 at the plant, causing a fire that has since been extinguished, but initial assessments showed damage to the shelter was significant. The shell is a protective cover designed to limit the release of radioactivity from the destroyed reactor. The International Atomic Energy Agency said today no rise in radiation levels had been detected. The Kremlin has denied attacking the plant. So there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts. Are we going to be entering into World War III in the coming years? If you believe so, drop a 3. If you think no, put a 4. But they are saying that Russian President Vladimir Putin can't be trusted. This coming from Estonia, from Zelenskyy, from our NATO alliance neighbors. Donald Trump saying that the peace talks are starting, but just 6 hours after that, we are seeing this strike. And the question is, who did this strike? Was it Russia, or was it another nation causing a false flag? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And again, video footage and articles coming out on this overnight as we are seeing this develop. The breaking news coming out that Chernobyl's nuclear facility was attacked overnight by a drone. And the concerns are that we are getting a nuclear facility hit. There could be major ramifications for what has unfolded. I see Arms USRA saying nukes don't start World War III, just like the atomic bomb did not start World War II. That is right. I've heard a lot of people say that when the wars started, there was no initial announcement. It wasn't until they ended that they said this is when they started. But they didn't start with those nuclear attacks. They actually kind of ended with those nuclear attacks. So who knows? A lot of people saying we are in a world war right now. Let me know your thoughts. Yet a lot of people also saying now that Donald Trump is in office that there is the Trump effect taking place. As you saw, he said if there are not peace agreements done to release the hostages in the Middle East by the time I get into office, there's going to be all hell to pay. We saw that peace agreement come together. In addition to that, we also saw this week things fall apart with that. And then he said, just call all bets off, unleash hell on Hamas if they do not release the hostages as planned Saturday. They had said those threats are empty to us. Well, now we're hearing yesterday they decided to change their minds and they're going to be releasing the hostages as planned. So it appears that there is a Trump effect taking place in the Middle East. But the question is there going to be a Trump effect taking place in Russia and Ukraine? Are they concerned about the leadership of Donald Trump with the United States and what could potentially unfold here if there are not peace talks that are done? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But there is a lot developing with that. And like I said, we've got this unfolding, the Middle East unfolding. Some people are saying that we could already be in World War III. Some people saying the Trump effect could be ending that, putting an end to that. We will see. I will keep you guys up to date every step of the way so you know exactly what is going on. I see RX saying, yes, we are already in World War III. Let me know your thoughts. Like I said, I see JSG saying we are in World War III. Raymond saying, I agree. John M is saying, get into your Bibles. Amen to that. Rob Barber is saying, hit that like button and subscribe. Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, if you have not done so yet, please take a second. 2 more likes literally gets us to 900 likes while we are live right now with the news breaking overnight. And I see we've got almost 1,900 people on with me live. So for those of you hopping on a little bit late, I'm going to play the video footage for you one more time coming out from Fox Live News showing the attacks that unfolded. Ronald saying, people read your Bibles. I see Fermi Paradox is saying, bring world peace. Andre Lucas, thank you for the super chat. Zelenskyy is a dead man walking, he says. Let me know your thoughts. I know a lot of people saying that they feel like things are not going to be going well for Zelenskyy and Ukraine. And we're hearing the negotiations taking place that they are saying that they're going to need to secede land to Russia and that there will be no NATO alliance for Ukraine. But let's take a look at this one more time so you can see it for yourself.
A good look at your screen. Fox News reporting that Ukraine blames Russia for the drone attack on Chernobyl's protective shell. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says damage is, quote, significant. An alleged drone hitting the protective shell covering the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine early this Friday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy pointing the finger at Russia. The International Atomic Energy Agency, also known as the IAEA, reporting on X that overnight Thursday, the IAEA team at the Chernobyl site heard an explosion coming from the new safe confinement. And you're seeing on your screen a video of that explosion. The site protects the remains of the nuclear reactor that exploded in Chernobyl back in 1986 and was reportedly set ablaze after an unmanned aerial vehicle hit the NSC roof. Zelenskyy saying initial assessments show, quote, the damage to the shelter is significant. Zelenskyy also taking to X, stating that the incident occurred when allegedly, quote, a Russian attack drone with a high explosive warhead hit the shelter. Again, that's a quote from the Ukrainian president. Surveillance footage, which is what you're taking a look at on this Friday, is from the Post, and it shows the movement the drone impacts on the dome, which then caused the explosion. While the incident is currently still under investigation this morning, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy claims the alleged attack was the result of a terrorist threat. A quote released to Fox News, it says, "This shelter was built by Ukraine together with other countries of Europe and the world, together with America, all these committed to real security for humanity. The only country in the world that attacks such sites, occupies nuclear power plants, and wages war without any regard for the consequences is today's Russia." He goes on to say this is a terrorist threat to the entire world. The shelter at the Chernobyl NPP was damaged by this drone, end quote. Russia at this hour has yet to deny any involvement. The IAEA saying its fire safety personnel were able to respond in minutes, and there was no indication of a breach in NSC's inner containment. The agency also reporting that there were currently no casualties, but they are monitoring the situation, and radiation levels inside and outside remain normal and stable. So this is a developing story. Ukraine on this Friday blaming Russia for a drone attack on Chernobyl's protective shell. As we get more information as it relates to the story, you'll get it right here on Live Now from Fox.
There you have it, you guys. So, man, let me know your thoughts. Like I said, as more develops on this, I'll be sure to let you guys know. We will see. Is this going to be the end of the peace talks? As we had heard others say that now the peace talks are obsolete. Let me know your thoughts. Take a look here. Again, the article's coming out overnight. This one 4 hours ago now. U.S.-Russia talks obsolete after Chernobyl drone strike. This coming from Callis from Estonia. Ukraine blames Russia for the drone attack on Chernobyl's protective shell. Zelenskyy says the damage is significant. Ukraine-Russia war, the latest. Zelenskyy warns Putin will attack NATO in the next year as Chernobyl hit by drone. We're hearing they are warning of World War III that could be coming, that Russia has no plans for actual peace, that they're just doing this to appease Donald Trump and the United States, but in reality, they're lying to us and they're preparing for World War III. And you heard the mention of not just Russia, but China, North Korea, Iran, all of them unifying in a unification to try to start a global conflict. And Zelenskyy warning the United States and NATO. But the question is, who can be trusted at this time? Do you trust Russian President Vladimir Putin? Do you trust Volodymyr Zelenskyy, or is it just him in self-interest? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But a lot unfolding overnight and coming out this morning, February the 14th, 2025. As more develops, I will be sure to keep you guys up to speed here on the channel, so that way you know exactly what is going on. And I see Danny saying, Steve, I thought peace talks were happening today. Danny, that is right. We had heard that peace talks were announced last night, and then just 6 hours after, we're hearing everything has changed when Chernobyl was struck by a drone, what they're saying, which had a warhead. It hit that nuclear facility, and now everything has changed, and they're saying the peace talks are obsolete. Everything is off the table. We will see where we go from here. I will continue to keep you guys up to date as more comes out. These articles are going to be linked down in the description below. And if you appreciate the updates and you haven't done so yet, don't forget, take a second, hit that like button, subscribe to stay up to date. I'll keep you up to speed on everything. And that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless.